Hello. Today I will be talking about the legal aspects of the deportations in the US and the long-term consequences in the US economy and what is happening about it. Now, right now, the situation that has been really noticed in the news is the one about the guy. The name of the person is Kilmar Garcia, I think. That was a legal US resident married with a US citizen, and that was quite literally abducted and deported in the streets. Now, he's not the only one. There are probably a lot of more people in those situations that have either not been reported or that are still, let us just call it, in transit. Now, what happened to this person was that he was deported, was abducted in the middle of the street, because this is how we have to call. It's not just because it is the state that is doing it that you don't call it what it is. If a person is abducted in the middle of the street, that person is abducted in the middle of the street. Okay. The man was abducted. He was sent to a center and hastily deported to prison in Costa Rica as a criminal. Now, it turns out that apparently Mr. Garcia is not a criminal. He's an absolutely normal person working with a family. And so an American court that is competent to do that, this is the first issue. Don't come and tell me that the executive branch can do whatever. Don't come with me with all of that talk because the US still has a legal system. A court told the administration to bring back that person. He has to be processed here. You have to prove your accusations before you. And they said no. First they said no, and now they still have not solved it. And they delayed it. I think it was next Monday. So the 14. I don't know how you say your numbers in England in the USA, and I don't care. The 14th of April of next 14th of April. Okay, today is the 13th, so 14 Monday. I'm recording this Sunday at the 13th of April. No, you said bring him back, and they said, oh, we don't know, so the judge delayed it to 13. But I wonder, has something happened to this man? Has he died? Has he been assassinated? Has he been lost in the system? I hope not. I really hope not, for the sake of the administration. And I also would hope this would stop, but it won't stop. They detain a German national that was living with an American citizen that had perfectly legal state in the U.S., but he went with his girlfriend to Mexico to a veterinarian with their dog or whatever because it's cheaper, and a lot of Americans do it. Cross the border, services are good, so why not? Buy medicine, why not? You know, sad but true. And when they came back, they detained them both. She was jailed and mistreated, even beaten apparently, but released. He disappeared in the system. No one knew where he was, not even his embassy. And later on, after spending, I don't know, 2 weeks or whatever, or more than 2 weeks, in a cell, sleeping in a tarp, with no communication to the outside, he was deported to Germany. The same happened to an English girl, a tattoo artist. Similar story. Also coming back to the US, she was meeting a friend or something like that. She had all the legal documents, jailed in absolutely atrocious conditions, and deported. Because you see, in Europe, when a person is detained for being, for example, an illegal immigrant, for being in an illegal with illegal status in the country, they are not treated as criminals. They are detained, yes. They are put in enclosed places, yes, they are. They cannot move about, but their treatment is very different from a criminal. Because a criminal, what happens to a criminal? detained, put in the cell, goes before a judge. The judge decides how that person will wait for the procedures in this case to continue, either in prison, either outside with an ankle bracelet, or whatever, or in house arrest, whatever. But there is a limit. A person, I believe here in Portugal, it's 48 hours, meaning after you are detained by a police officer, for example, you can only be 48 hours detained without going before a judge. And when you are detained, the situation is completely different from being jailed. These are two different concepts. A jailed person is someone that, for example, has been before a judge and the judge has decided their fate. How are they going to wait for their case file to end or to proceed, whatever? Or if they are in, they were convicted. They are convicted persons. They have been convicted by a court, and now they will have to serve X amount of years or months or whatever in jail. Okay, but there is absolutely no due process, nor there is any defense of a person's rights. If you jail a person, for example, a German citizen, you jail him. First of all, you would have to inform him of his rights. Secondly, you would have to inform his embassy. And thirdly, you will have to go through due procedure. Put that person before a judge, present your case, and say this person has to be deported because of this, of that. Okay? And then you will have to deport him if you have to, or you would free him. But the way people are being detained, brutal, absolutely brutal, and it will have long term consequences. Tourism is already soaring, and it will continue to drop because me personally, I would not even stop in the US on my way to Canada, for example. Only direct flights. If I was vacationing in Mexico and I had a friend in the US, even with a visa, I would not go. I would not cross that border. And this is something that is now very common all over the internet, all over Europe, and people are just saying, just don't go there. And so, no school trips, no tourist visits, not even friends visit. It's easier to tell them, look, you come here to Portugal. Well, I will tell you this now. I know of people that have, for example, that their family is living in the US and they are paying them to come here. They are paying their flights for them to spend their vacations here. For example, now in Easter, that is an important period here in Portugal. Easter and summer are the main times of the year, even more than Christmas or whatever. So I would ask the Americans if this pleases them, because in the next years you will see tourism drop like a stone. People won't stop coming, no, of course, but their numbers will become thinner and thinner and thinner until they become irrelevant. Because this is what happens when, because now you have infrastructures prepared to receive tourists. As tourists diminish, so will those infrastructures become irrelevant and economically viable. And they will end. So you will reduce progressively your capability of having infrastructures and things for tourists. And you won't recover this in a matter of 1 year, 2 years. This will take decades because people will always know I have a visa or I have a green card or whatever. I have all my paperwork in order. and I arrive at the border, they can look to my social media, they can look to my computer, my phone, without a warrant, without nothing. They can drill me if they don't like me, if my color is not the right tint of white or the right tint of dark or whatever, or if I have a tattoo. Who in their right mind would want to subject themselves to this? No one. So I will continue to report on this. I will make some more videos. I want to do a little bit more of research, but I would say tourism is dead in America. At least outside tourism. Inside tourism, well, I don't know. Maybe if you are Hispanic like Mr. Garcia, you should not stray very far from your place of business or your where you are living, because some officer might think you are some kind of alien terrorist and deport you to Costa Rica.